See, the thing about Jesus was he had the ability to surprise people. And in today's story at Light Live, our great celebration today and our party, we are thinking about a story in the Bible involving Jesus where everyone went, wow, that is amazing. It all started with Jesus meeting with a group of people. They'd been chatting together and they'd been listening to what Jesus had to say, and he'd been listening to their questions too and wanting to answer them. But they were at a house, and as Jesus sat in the house speaking with these people, more and more people started to hear that he was there. We're going to go and listen to Jesus. He's got some great things to say. We want to hear what he wants to say. Well, I'm going to go and hear about Jesus. I need to think about it a bit more. And there were others who went to say, we just want to trick him, you know. We just can't believe what he's saying. He has no right to say those things at all. Well, they all headed down to where Jesus was, in this house. Now, it wasn't a big house. And in those days where Jesus lived, the houses had flat roofs. And that's very important for this story today. And as Jesus was speaking to these people, the room got busier and the room got hotter and the room seemed to get smaller because everybody was crammed in the room wanting to hear what Jesus had to say. And after a while, they started standing outside the house and listening as well as they could to what Jesus was saying. A short distance away, there was a man who'd been ill for many years and just hadn't been able to walk at all. And he had some really good friends who kind of helped to look after him. And they had heard that Jesus was nearby. And they had heard that the things that Jesus was doing. So they decided to take this man down to where Jesus was. And they made a bed, what you kind of call a stretcher, and they put him on there because he couldn't walk himself. And they carried him down the hill and along the dusty paths to the house where Jesus was. And they must have been so excited. Wow, we're taking this friend of ours to see Jesus. Our friend's going to be better when he's met with Jesus. And they headed towards the house. Oh, you see, I don't think they could see much of the house. There were so many people inside the house. And there were so many people outside the house. You just couldn't get near to where Jesus was. But they didn't give up. Because you see, at the side of the house that had the flat roof, there were some steps that went up. And what they did was this. They went up the steps by the side of the house, onto the roof. And they started to do something amazing. Now, inside the house, Jesus was still listening to what everybody was asking him and answering the questions. And all of a sudden, they kind of noticed there was dust kind of coming down from the ceiling. Because you see what was going on top of the roof. The man on the stretcher, his friends were being really busy because they were starting to make a hole in the roof. They were scraping off the plaster, they were pulling away the mud, they were taking away the sticks and the branches and the wood, and they were making a hole through the roof so that the light could come in to the house. Now, they didn't just want to do that so the light of the sun could come in. They were doing that so the hole would be big enough for them to lower their friend into the middle of the room where Jesus was. And that's what they did. They made this hole in the roof and everybody inside was going, what's going on here? Look, I'm getting covered in dust. And in the end, the hole was so big, the sun was shining through. It was really bright. And then they suddenly saw the stretcher coming down and the man on the stretcher was getting lower and lower and lower until he was on the ground, lying there, looking up at everybody. Hello. Everybody must have thought, oh, look at the mess. Look at the hole in the ceiling. But Jesus didn't. He looked at the man on the stretcher, maybe looked up at his friends and thought how committed they were to seeing this through. And he said to the man on the stretcher, hello, your sins are forgiven. Well, some of the religious leaders went, oh, you can't say that. You're not God? Jesus knew he wasn't God, but he knew he was the Son of God. And Jesus looked to the man on the stretcher and took him by the hand, and he stood up. Everybody in the room went, wow, that is amazing. His friends on the roof must have gone, yay, look, we did it. Jesus did it. Isn't that amazing? And everybody outside started to hear. Have you heard? The man that was taken through the roof, yeah, he's walking. He can't walk. He's been on that mat for years, but he's walking now. And inside, the man stood up, rolled up his mat, maybe put it under his arm, said thank you to Jesus, and walked out of the house. That must have been an amazing place to have been at that time, to have seen that happening. That room suddenly full of light coming through from the hole in the roof, seeing the stretcher come down and seeing Jesus say to him, your sins are forgiven, and seeing him stand and people beginning to realise this truly was the Son of God they were with, who can do amazing things. And I bet everybody left that day amazed at what they had seen, so much so that we read about this story in the Bible. And that's why we're thinking about it today at Light Live.